Before we talk about the movie, can I tell you about a dream I had this week?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I
This,
also have a non-story to tell you after.
yes. Yes. Let's go. Okay. So the dream was there was an alien invasion, like Philip K. Dick style of body snatchers. Um,
Okay.
and they were made of like this like oily brown goo. So they couldn't hold
Ooh.
form on their own and they could possess other people. But once those people were possessed, like they could never really function again. Like they were still alive technically, but they were fried, right? They were just kind of slowly working their way through the whole town. And everyone was killing each other, trying to figure out what was going on. And I had broken into this house that I thought was abandoned, so I could hide in the closet. And through the clothes, I could see four of them like bloop into the bodies of the people that lived there. And then they found me and they dragged me out of the closet and they were trying to tie me up, but I was like flailing around on the ground and sorry, flailing around on the
Like
ground and I
your
grabbed.
stories are so loud.
Oh, I'm so sorry to disturb you. I'll have to tell this horrible violent tale a little quieter. I grabbed
Yeah.
a shard of ceramic from a broken lamp that had smashed on the ground, and I slashed it across one of their throats. And I remember it getting caught on the windpipe going through the throat. I remember the texture so vividly. And I remember their blood and the goo spilling out onto my mouth, tasting it. Tasted like motor
Yes.
oil.
Yay, that's what I thought it would taste like.
Yeah. Yeah. And so they were all shocked. And they were like, whoa. And then one of them, what happened? One of them ended up on the ground, and then I was on top and then could do apparently the throat thing was the only thing that worked because you had to get them to leak out somehow out of their control.
Right.
I don't know. That was the logic my brain was telling me.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it could use some reworking, but for a dream, it's not
for
bad.
a dream, yeah, it's a rough draft. Look like a wrap is down on this side. It looks like I'm breastfeeding.
Has science gone too far? The local woman breastfeeding her 7-month-old cat. My favorite question to ask when something is a little weird is, has science gone too far? I picked that up because a couple of weeks ago, one of my friends from my major, his name is Cullen. He and I and Annabelle, who's also in our class, we were talking about the new caffeinated milk. They make little bottles of milk. It's not carbonated because that would be disgusting. It's
Did I
just
tell you that
caffeinated.
every time I saw those billboards, there was one right by my house, and I'd pass it every time I drove home. And that's exactly what I thought it said every single time.
You're like carbonated
Carbonated
milk.
milk.
Oh, caffeinated. Oh, yeah. It's just caffeinated, not carbonated. So the texture is fine. I actually tried it. It was mid. It was like flavored milk, it's fine. But anyway, we were discussing the societal implications of caffeinated chocolate milk, caffeinated strawberry milk, et cetera, et cetera. And Cullen was like,
Hmm.
you know what, guys? I think we gotta pack it up. Has science gone too far? It was so funny. So that's just been rattling in my mind for weeks. But
That's
anyway,
really good. I do agree, especially with, I feel like strawberry milk, I can see is more of a breakfast thing. But for me and my family, chocolate milk has always been a bedtime thing.
chocolate milk is a treat and a dessert.
Yeah, it's not a way to start the day. Mm-mm.
But
I'm
strawberry
like,
milk you probably could, I guess, because it's like closer to like a smoothie, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. I sometimes had
Yeah.
strawberry milk for lunch,
Yeah.
but I don't. I, all of my friends at school, I remember they'd always like mock me for being the person who had the plain milk instead of the chocolate milk at lunch. And I was like,
Hmm.
I literally cannot function if I have chocolate milk. prior to a thing that I have to do. I have conditioned
Right.
myself, and my parents have conditioned me. My first word was chalk, meaning I wanted chocolate milk. That's
For bedtime.
literally for bedtime. Exactly. This has been how I've been raised. I can't drink a chocolate milk for lunch and then be expected to function in a calculus class. I'm sorry. I'm going
Right.
to drink my
And,
plain milk.
and you know what? That's fair. And I think you want to live your truth a little bit. Yeah. Anyway.
Speaking of phrases, I told my mom about the but I remain optimistic one,
Hmm.
and she loved it.
Oh, I bet. That's a very Heidi phrase.
Yeah, it's a good
I
one.
remain optimistic. Yeah.
She once told me that she thinks of herself as a very pessimistic person, and so she chooses to be optimistic because her nature is to look on the dark side always.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so I do think that that phrase really resonated with her because it's like gritting teeth, like white knuckling something,
Mm.
but I remain
It's
optimistic.
gonna get better.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. That's really good. Yeah, so it's not carbonated, it's just caffeinated, but it's still, has science gone too far?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think we
Was
should
it the end of
decaffeinate
your,
more things. Hmm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we should probably, no, I think what we should do is first caffeinate too many things. So then whatever you're like buying or ordering, you have to specify that it's decaf. I think that would be fun.
Caffeinated ramen noodles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, can I just get some
Hmm.
like the cauliflower and broccoli, the decaf? Yeah, thanks. And you know, like,
Can I get actually, do you have caffeinated Nerf bullets? No? Okay. No. Yeah. No,
no, that's
decaf's
fine.
okay.
It's just, yeah, that's fine. It's like the is Pepsi okay, but just for literally everything.
Yeah.
Did I interrupt your dream or was that the end
Ugh.
of it?
Oh, that was mostly the end of it. Just the point of that story was just to tell you that I now know how it feels to cut into somebody's throat.
To kill
Like,
somebody?
yeah, it was so
Yeah,
vivid. It was so
that
vivid.
is awesome. And it means that now I have a non-story. This non-story is courtesy of my friend Emma, who sits by Trinice and me in one of our classes.
Tremendous.
Yes, Trinice mentioned eagle
Let's
emoji, eagle
go.
emoji, eagle emoji. Um, so Emma, she the other day was on a date. It was like a first date from a dating app, so they were just gonna do something low key. They went
Hmm.
on like a walk and talk, and then it was getting late, and she was like, "Well, you could come to my place for a movie." And he's like, "Okay, sounds great." So they're watching a movie. It was like, I don't know, The Shining or something. 'Cause it's October, so they had to watch something spooky. I don't know. I don't remember
Yeah,
what it was, but it was something in that vein.
that's fine. Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, it went pretty well. I mean, like we cuddled during the movie and like it seemed like we were really hitting it off.
Yeah.
Which is like for some people a bit much for a first date, but for some people fine. It's like whatever.
It's fine for a first date, but like, I don't know, it's a weird movie to cuddle to.
It's a weird movie, but it's whatever. I think
Sure,
it's like
yeah,
just
okay.
because it's like a scary movie, then it's like an excuse to like, oh no, you
Okay,
know?
yeah, no, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see
So
that.
they're like hanging out. They said the walk and talk went well. They're hanging out, like cuddling during the movie or whatever. And then she said at the end of the movie, sorry, oh my gosh. It's because I know what's gonna happen in this story because I've heard it before. He got up and walked out of her apartment without a word. He did not say goodbye. He just left. He didn't say anything at all. And Trinice was like, was he going to be late, like for curfew or something? And she's like, we started the movie like after 11. If he was worried about curfew, he wouldn't have come over for the movie. And so she's like,
Uh,
okay, so it can't be that. She's like trying to logic her way into it. I was like, Trinice, I don't think there's an explanation.
possibly.
She like demonstrated on me. She like put her arm around me. She's like, so we're like this, and she like put her arm around me, and then and just walked away. He didn't even say goodbye. Like he said zero words. He just stood up and walked out of her apartment. So then she's just sitting there on the couch, like,
Is he coming right back? Like,
I
why would
didn't say
you do
anything.
that? Would you do that to
I
somebody?
know. We were trying to figure it out, but like it makes no sense.
You wouldn't cuddle with somebody if you were like not interested,
Right, I'm
at
like, if he
least a
wasn't
little
feeling
bit.
it, he wouldn't have said yes to go back to her place for a movie, and he wouldn't have
You
cuddled with
wouldn't
her for the whole movie. You know what I mean?
have stayed.
He wouldn't have stayed for the whole movie if he was having a bad time. And then even if you like decided to leave a date early, would you not be like, would you not say like one sentence of like, I'm gonna actually head out now? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
literally anything. Silent.
Did she ever hear from him again?
Trinice is like, she asked like, well, did you like text him or anything? She's like, I mean, you're right. I probably should. He's probably the one, and this was just like the wrong moment. I'll text him and we'll reconnect. Yeah.
No, no. You literally just have to ask him why he did that. Like, I wouldn't expect anything else to happen ever again because that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. But just to solve the mystery so that the rest of us can sleep at night, say, why would you do this?
I know. She said, I think that she like texted him after and he didn't say anything. And she's like, now I don't want to push it because he just clearly doesn't know how to communicate with people. But like, we couldn't figure it out. We were coming out, we were like, well, maybe it was this, we're like theorizing what could possibly possess a person's mind to walk out of a date at someone's home without even saying one word goodbye. Like,
Trying to pull an Irish goodbye, but it's not a party.
but
It's
there's
a
only
day
one
with
person.
two people.
It doesn't work like that. You have to
No,
say something.
why would you
It
do
was
that?
so funny. So we're trying to come up with any excuse for this guy that we can, just to like kind of rationalize it in our own mind so we can sleep at night. And the only thing that we concluded with was just a simple fact about him. Emma said, "Yeah, I don't know. He's a white guy named Spencer." And we were like, "Okay."
So true.
Like I guess that's just good enough. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that explains everything. Raise your hand if you've ever dated a white guy named Spencer who just ghosted you randomly with no reason. That's just how this game is played, baby.
It's just how it goes.
Can't imagine. Like, that is the most awkward thing that you could do.
And I can't
Can
imagine like what would be going through your mind for you to get up
like,
and walk away without saying a word, but have shown no signs of discomfort before that, right? That's the weird thing. Like it's not like you could get up and walk out of a date without saying a word if they were like harassing you or you know what I mean? Like if they were making you feel
mhm.
genuinely uncomfortable, but then there'd be like warning signs and then you'd leave. But in this
Yeah.
case, it seemed like they were getting along, so there's no reason.
I feel like, especially on a date between a man and a woman, it's like much more likely for the woman to be able to pick up on those subtle social cues that something is off, namely,
Yeah,
like,
he doesn't like you.
yeah,
He's trying to leave.
he's
But he's not trying that hard if he's curled up on your couch with his arm around you.
cuddling. I literally had a friend who was on a date with a guy, and they were sitting in two separate recliner armchairs. And she had texted me when she left for the date, like 2 minutes after she met the guy. She's like, I might have to have you come pick me up. And so I texted her back immediately. I was like, girl, what's wrong? Like, tell me why. And I didn't hear from her again for the next hour and a half. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to be seeing her story on Dateline in a month. Like, she's dead. I did everything I could. Um, so I kept calling her. I called her like probably 30 times in 20 minutes because I was like, answer me, answer me. The reason that she never answered her phone or the text was because he took her back to his place to watch a movie and they were sitting in two armchairs that were side by side. And then about 10 minutes into the movie, he got up from his armchair and went to sit on her lap in her armchair. And so she was like, I couldn't answer my phone because then he would see my texts and he would know that I was trying to get out. And I was like, you're sitting on your lap. I think you can let him know subtly that you maybe don't want to be in this situation. So my point with that is that sometimes men are not the best at picking up signals.
Yeah, sometimes men are stupid, I think, is our conclusion for today. Thanks everybody for watching Women in STEM.
But
Uh,
the only thing I can
that's
think
so
with this
like
guy,
the thing that's weird about that is like, why start in separate chairs? Like, if you
they
have a
didn't have
couch,
a couch.
it's a lot easier to make the excuse of like sitting closer to somebody or like backing up, to
Yeah.
stand up, the image of somebody standing up out of a recliner and walking over to somebody else that's sitting there and they're like older than 5 is comical.
He was like 28 too, because he had said on his profile that he was 23. And then she got to his house and she's like, oh, this is he graduated high school in this year. And he's like, yeah, I dropped the age down a little bit on the app, so you filter out crazies. And she was like,
Oh, yeah.
you're the
Any man who says I'm trying to filter out crazies on a dating app and his
shut
way of doing so
himself.
is lying about his age and saying that he's 5 years younger, yeah, he is gonna kill you, actually.
Yes. And not to like shame people who still live at home, but he was still living at, so he took her back to his parents' house.
And his
Um,
parents don't have a couch?
they don't have a couch in their basement. It's like
I
a
mean,
fancy rich person movie room, so it's like
ugh,
nice but not comfy at all.
boo.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of a home theater. Really, I
Yeah,
am. But I'm a
but
big
the
fan of a
point of it
real
is that,
home theater.
yeah, it's at
Like
your
a
home.
cozy, like your
Don't you want
house.
to be comfortable in your own home where you live?
Why don't you want to like
Rich people are so
they're
stupid.
so dumb. They literally make the worst choices. Like both of
Yeah.
us have a big screen in our basement with a big comfy cozy couch for to
hmm
which watch movies. You know
Because
what I
that's
mean?
the point of having a basement.
Yeah.
You get a cheap projector online for like $35, whatever, and then you get a white sheet and hang it against the wall. Like, how hard is that? That way you can spend the money on the important thing, which is comfortable furniture in your
Popcorn.
home
Oh, that too.
that you're
Where
staying in,
you
that you live in, and
where
you
you
want to be
live,
comfortable
sure.
in your home that you live in. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
Whatever, I guess.
So the only thing I can think of that guy who just walked out is that he went into the date with like a mob boss threatening him, right? Or like a serial
Mhm.
killer. He's like, we have your family hostage, but you can't let anybody know. And so I'm going to have a sniper rifle on you at all times. And you
Mhm.
can't let her know that you are uncomfortable or that you're worried about your family, but you can't miss
Right,
this
right.
drop deadline.
If there's any moment at at which she asks you if there's something going on, you're gonna get it. Yeah, he's got a
Yeah.
wire. They're listening in on the conversation. I mean,
Why?
the thing is, even then, you could be like, well, thanks for the movie. I'm gonna head out, but maybe I'll see you another time.
What?
And
Like,
that's less suspicious than just standing up and walking away.
did he close the door? Because I'm picturing that he just left it wide open.
He just started sprinting.
I can't imagine. Why
Oh,
would anybody do that? There is no
no.
circumstance where that would be acceptable.
It doesn't make
Like,
any sense. Like, there's
it's
no
weird.
world in which you can't just, like, say one sentence before you leave.
You can't,
But how
like,
hard it's just common decency at the end of a date to be like, thanks for the movie.
yeah. But that's
See
the
ya,
thing
you know?
is it's weird with an acquaintance, with someone you don't know very well, but it's also weird. It's equally weird with someone that you do know very well. Like if I were to go to your house and then leave without saying a word, that would be weird, right?
It'd be weird. Well, my mom would be like, where's Whitney?
Yeah, I've never been to Antonia.
No, that would be the weirdest thing. Yeah, not saying goodbye to me is one thing, but not saying goodbye to my mother?
No, I would never do
No,
that.
it's a criminal offense.
Like,
It's insane. Like literally there's no explanation, but then she's like, I don't know, white guys, right? And we were like, yeah.
yeah. Unfortunately, that really is the explanation that just makes the most sense.
Yeah, it's just like, well, his name was Spencer. He's just the white guy that I met online. Yeah.
She's really lucky that that is the weirdest thing that he did.
Spencers are really hit or miss. Like,
That is
truly.
so true.
I've met some
That's so
Spencers that are
real.
wonderful, admirable people. End of sentence.
I bet you anything it was a Spencer that invented carbonated milk.
But it's not caffeinated, it's just carbonated.
Carbonated
It's
was
just sparkling,
invented.
but you're not even getting anything out of it.
It's just normal milk that tastes raw.
Mhm.
Life, I know we keep saying it, and we overuse it, but it is so beautiful.
It is beautiful. The day that life stops being beautiful, maybe we'll stop talking about it.
Yeah.
So, do you want that to happen?
Huh? Huh?
Huh? Speaking of this, welcome to Women in STEM. We're talking about UHF, the Weird Al movie from 1989. It is the best movie of all time, argue with the wall. And here we are. S stands for, I don't know, anything you want. The world is your oyster. And so does T and E and M. It can be in anything.
M could be upside down W
And what
for
and
Weird Al.
why? For Weird Al. Okay. I was like, why? It's UHF.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's the only one that I have
I like M being upside down for Weird Al, obviously.
because it's what he would have wanted.
That's it's really good.
Yeah, he's
Um,
not dead.
but it is
Thank
just what he would
goodness.
have wanted had he known
Yes.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I do think
We'll
that the
know
day
that we've
Weird Al
made it.
dies. What?
I was gonna say we'll know that we've made it when we get Weird Al to guest star on this
I
podcast.
really think that he would do it without us being too big. Like
Right.
he has that
It's
vibe.
like
He's like the
109 subscribers. Perfect amount.
yeah,
Let's go.
it's gonna be a race between him and Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Who can sign on to the most weird, obscure projects? I was gonna say that I think that the day Weird Al dies,
It's the day we all die.
is the day the country falls. I also was thinking throughout watching this whole movie that if Weird Al ever does, and I I just need to reiterate this as well, is that I have never had a parasocial relationship with anybody because I am too powerful for that and too cool
That's
and too
for
pretty.
wimps
Yes, I don't have a
and
parasocial
commies.
relationship. That's for whims and commies. Um, and having said that, I do think that if Weird Al, like if anything ever came out about him
hmm
being like a super evil, gross person, I don't think that I would be able to handle that.
No, it would be very hard to recover from that. Too many great celebrities have fallen in that way.
Yes. I
We're
couldn't,
not looking up allegations about Al Yankovic, okay?
no.
He's a good guy. We're leaving it there.
Please let it stay that way.
Please.
I'm begging you. Okay, real quick, before we actually get into the meat of the movie, I wanted to tell you this or ask you this, I guess. Do you know the clip of Weird Al talking about one of his song parodies? And he's like, I don't know, I really love the original. But I just wanted to make a few like changes, a few like modifications. I wanted to give it kind of this sound a little bit. I hope the original like writer is okay with these changes. And then it hard cuts to the writer, and he's like, he made a perfect song. I hate him for it. Do you know that clip?
Vaguely, yeah, I'm sure I could find it.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you can, will you please send it to me? Because I can't. I have searched for that clip so hard. I can't
Mhm.
find it anywhere. I don't know what to search. I have searched every possible combination of Weird Al, like documentary, nothing. I can't find it. So
Mhm.
if you could help me out there, I'd appreciate it. I
Mhm.
don't
I'll
even
do
know.
my best. And anybody who's watching, maybe if you could look into that as well, we can get
Yeah,
all
yeah,
hands
hit
on
us up.
deck. Create something, create something beautiful here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
okay. M upside down for Weird Al.
yes.
S, I like the text that you sent me
Steven.
about
Oh.
2 minutes into the movie where you said, I get the feeling this is going to be silly.
I did say that, yeah.
You did say that. It was very funny. So it could be
Silly.
that.
Silly movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, doesn't Kramer's character, doesn't his name start with S?
Yeah, he's Stanley. Not Stanley
Stanley.
Yelnat.
Stanley
Mhm. Spadowski.
Spadowski. Potato. Yep, I remember now. Okay.
TV.
TV. Yeah.
That starts with a
Um,
T and ends with a V. Easy.
that's true. It does.
Mhm.
If anyone wants a fact check on that, mods.
Chat, is this true? Too bad there's no J for janitor, because Stanley is the world's greatest janitor slash TV star.
TV star. He is.
So, you know,
M
mm,
M could be mop, and the E could be
could be
sideways for Weird Al.
true. I think he could accept that.
I think
Because
so. I would say
E
even that
being
sideways is a
sideways,
little weirder.
E being sideways for mop is not as much fun as
Mm-mm.
E being sideways for Weird Al.
That's
I do like
exactly the
that.
thought process that I went through as well.
This is like women in STEM lore. We love making letters be sideways or upside down for other things.
We
Like, for
do.
example, there was a joke a while ago about normal's my middle name, and this was Whitney, whose middle initial is Z. So I was like, yeah, the Z is just sideways for normal. And which is funny because it's like a very weird and not normal thing. So you get it. Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. Apparently, my coworkers do not because I've tried to explain the joke to them and
Mm. You
pearls
need to
before
get like
swine.
a Z-shaped cutout like they have in like elementary schools. Be
Yeah,
like,
and
it's
just
a
turn it.
Z.
Hmm.
And now it looks like an N. Yay!
Yay!
Everyone can practice turning it into a Z and into an N.
Yeah. It's
Yay!
also the end of James. There were a couple other iterations as well. I
Yeah.
don't remember, but if I do, if I find them, I'll post them in the comments. Um,
Yeah, the
so
main
people can
ones that I
stop emailing
remember,
me about it.
the main ones that I remember were Whitney James Normal Borer, but the James Normal is just with the cross section of the Z where it lines
Yes.
up James
Yes.
Normal.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The day that I finally like legally change my name, I think I'll ascend because
Yes.
it's on my diploma. But like
Yes.
I could have written anything on that. It's not like I needed any proof, you know?
Mm,
I could have
yeah.
written Butt Fartman. I could have
You could have
written
written Turd
Turd
Ferguson.
Ferguson.
It's a
Funny,
funny
funny
name.
name. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do anything. I love that they're just like,
Yeah.
put your preferred name on there. We won't check. Doesn't have to be like government document. That's
Hmm.
awesome.
It was
Can I
really,
also
yeah.
tell you
Yes.
about a man that I know whose name is Squid, and it is his Christian name.
S- Squid?
Yeah, his name is Squid.
Why?
So it's not like a joke, it's just like his name. Like his parents were just like, yep, Squid. That's his name.
One of the kids from Holes? I'm so jealous.
Your audio cut out just a little bit to make it seem like you had sworn, but we censored it.
Can you put a bleep in there, please, 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 please,
It's
please?
so funny. I'm so jealous. It was like perfect timing.
This is one of my favorite bits that the IT crowd did. Do you remember that episode where Jen drops
The
the
censorship button. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, he misses it a couple of times, and it's so funny. But also, Drew Gooden has done it a couple of times where he says pissing and shitting, and he puts the bleep just like
Yeah.
over it. But
And it doesn't censor the sound at all. I love it when
no,
people do that. Yeah.
it's
Any
so
channel
funny.
that like has a little bleep that doesn't censor anything, I love. What I
Yeah,
don't
10
love
out
is when
of
people
10.
do the like obnoxious dolphin sound.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't like that either.
That's more offensive than a swear and maybe even a slur. Don't do
That's
that.
one of the worst things that SpongeBob ever did was like, yeah,
Yeah,
popularize that.
yeah, it sucks. Anyway,
Where, yeah,
UHF.
UHF. Oh no, I remember. I like our acronym that we came up with just now, but I did when I was watching it, I was like, this is just like the Secret Life of Walter Mitty. And I was like, this is perfect because there are several of the right letters in there that we could do, and then turn one up like on its side.
That's
Um,
very funny.
but that
I
was
think it should be instead of STEM, we should just do UHF and it's Uncle Harvey Fundraiser.
yay! I love a theme episode. I
Yay!
do really like that we have like we used to get so stressed about not having picked an acronym beforehand. Do you notice how
Mhm.
much better our lives got when we just accepted that we'll do it when we record?
Yeah, or not at all.
Sometimes we forget.
Sometimes we're just like, whatever. I think people don't care about the gimmick, so it doesn't matter whether or not we actually do it. I think,
I don't know
in
about you.
fact, people are annoyed by it.
A lot of times,
Change
yeah.
your channel name to something that makes sense.
No,
No, no, I wasn't.
no, I wasn't. UHF, Weird Al.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know what
Like
to say
enough
about it other
said,
than
basically.
it was the most fun I've had and really it was like 45 minutes of movie and then the other 45 minutes of like sketch comedy,
Yeah,
like fake movie trailers.
yeah, it's awesome.
What else could you
Um,
want in a movie?
I have seen it before a couple times, but I took these notes of things that I wanted to talk about, and it's mostly just like beats of the movie that are so funny.
Okay.
But there's also one that is like an actual like overall vibe and not a specific moment. And it's
Okay.
this. This is one of the only, if not the only, live action movies that I've seen that feels animated.
Yeah. Yeah,
Doesn't
totally.
that doesn't that make sense? Like you notice it in like when he goes to the aunt's house and she like pinches his cheek and just stretches it super far. That's a funny gag in an animated movie, but they pull it off in a live action movie in this movie.
Yeah.
And then also like how every character is a caricature, right? So they all have like a very particular way that they are. They're filling a particular trope, like Princess Bride style, but like
Yeah.
cartoon style.
That's
The
so true.
violence is so over the top and hilarious. It might as well be
Yeah.
animated.
It's cartoony. Totally.
It's like it's this is an animated live action movie.
How'd they do that?
It's that's the power of Weird Al. That's pretty much my only commentary that isn't just like, no, wait, no, I have one more. Gay son or thought daughter. Um,
Both are
RJ
Weird Al.
Fletcher, RJ Fletcher chose gay son.
Yeah. And this film
Uh-oh,
really leans
dad.
into the
Like
uh-oh, dad.
the vowel of
Dad.
the A on dad. Oh no, dad. That man
Yeah.
deserves an Oscar, best supporting actor for
That's
that.
so
Like,
real. His scene at the end too, where they use the bury
dad.
the gays trope, where he's buried in mud.
Happy Father's Day, Dad. Like, why does he talk like that? He's so funny. So those are my two pieces of commentary. Essentially, for people who haven't seen it, first of all, you need to repent and watch it. It's
Yeah.
free in several places.
A lot,
Secondly,
yeah.
the plot of the movie is that George, played by Weird Al, can't really keep a job, and then his uncle wins a TV station in a poker game.
Hmm.
On sevens, by the way, he bluffed. It's so funny. So then he's like, his wife convinces him to keep it and to let George be the new manager because he can't keep a job. And George, the reason that he can't keep a job is that he's constantly daydreaming. He's like in this other world, and they're like, you just need to be more grounded and more serious. So now he gets the TV station. He has
Hmm.
full reins for like the shows that they're gonna do. Like we
Hmm.
should we should do more like live stuff. We should do like interviews with people in the town, right? He's using his imagination in kind of a great way. And that's
Yeah.
beautiful. So that's kind of part of the movie. But then, like Whitney was saying, how half of it is just like feels random. It's like showing like ads that are running on the TV station or like clips of TV shows that are on the TV station.
Yeah.
My favorite one of all time is, of course, Spatula
Spatula
City.
City!
Spatula City.
But
This is the first
why? What a lovely
moment of this movie.
spatula.
This is the first moment of this movie that I ever saw. And my little brother and I would quote it constantly. And also, if there's any other thing that's blank city, we would say it in the Spatula City voice. And also, like, or just
Spatula
anything that has the same
City!
number of syllables you could also do. What I like about it is like every time they say Spatula City, it's like Full Metal Alchemist where there's like an echo of, Spatula City, Spatula City.
Spatula
But
City!
there's also one moment where they've said it a couple times and the announcer like sounds exhausted. It's so funny. He's like, Spatula City.
Spatula City!
It's a little bit too intense. It's so funny.
And in
And
the
that's
middle
just
of the
one of
ad,
many of the like spoof commercials that played during this movie
in the middle of it,
as
yeah.
part of it.
I also really like in Spatula City ad, they cut to the owner of the company. It's like, I own Spatula City. I like the spatulas so
He's
much,
like
I bought the
clearly reading
company.
off of a cue card. It's so
It's
funny.
so
Hello,
sullen.
my name is.
He goes back to the wild energy, Spatula City. Kids, where are we going? Yeah, so
I love
funny.
from the very beginning. The wife says, "Honey, where's the spatula?" The dad's like, action is so funny. What? Well, kids, let's go. Like,
A
he also
cartoon.
deserves an Oscar. I'm like, why are we watching serious acting when we could be watching this? You know what I mean? This is so
Never
much
hire
better.
Timothy Chalamet again. I'm
Dun,
serious.
dun.
Unless he is in a role like this,
I want to
then
see
he'll
Timothy
really
Chalamet
shine.
in Spatula City too. Please. Spatula City. Like voice cracks. It's so funny.
It's so
Spatula
high
City.
energy, but it's manic.
Because it's just spatulas. They go to a warehouse. They're
We
cutting out the
only do
middleman. It's
spatulas,
straight
but
from the
we do them
warehouse to
well.
you. But they only do spatulas. It's a huge, like aisles and aisles and aisles of just spatulas.
Forget they make great Christmas presents. What better way to say I love
I
you?
love you with a spatula. At the end they have a little jingle that's like Spatula City, we sell spatulas, and that's all. I don't need a jingle. This is the best movie ever. Okay, so you see Spatula City, just the clip of the commercial, and you haven't seen the rest of the movie. You're hooked, right? Obviously. But if then later you saw the scene of the little boy, Joel Miller, who finds the marble in the oatmeal, that's not a spoof commercial. That's part of the story.
He's looking for his
What a lucky, lucky, lucky little boy. You know why? You get to drink from the fire. So what I'm saying is, this movie raised me. Because my brother and I, not only would we quote Spatula City, Spatula City, Spatula City, but we would also constantly, all the time, what a lucky, lucky, lucky little boy you are. You know why? You get to drink from the fire hose. It's like the concept of like, it's a children's game show in which a bunch of children and some chaperones are in the audience, and there's a kiddie pool full of oatmeal and one marble. The whole point is that you have to find the marble in the oatmeal. And if you do, you're the lucky winner. And you get to drink from the fire. And they blast this kid in the face with a fire hose at full strength. And it knocks him back into the studio. And then
and
they
the
just move on.
ratings only go up, baby.
It's just,
If
that's
you
just the end of the scene. That's it.
any more convincing,
Stanley's like,
guy played Stanley is Kramer from the side.
and then if you were raised by this movie, you might see clips of Kramer from Seinfeld in the future and be like, huh, because you learned about them in reverse order from most people.
When does Kramer go to the future?
Oh
Can
man.
I tell you one more thing about the fake commercials in this movie?
Hmm.
Is that I was watching it on Tubi where you can watch it for free with ads, but sometimes they don't tell you like they don't make it very clear when the ad break is happening, which I think would be good and make for a more immersive viewing experience with most movies. But with this one, where the fake ads are kind of built into the viewing experience, I watched an ad for 911 Rescue High Tide and thinking, it's a little grittier than what the other ones felt like, but yeah, it's just as ridiculous. And then it went back to the movie and I was like, oh, that was a real ad that I just got for a real show.
That's so funny.
Stop
I feel like
loving
the spoof commercials that are part of the movie are so ridiculous, but they're like,
it.
it's something that's like is typical or almost believable, and then they just turn it up a couple notches. So I actually wrote, I made a list of all of them, and they're all like underlined and exclamation pointed and capitalized because I love this movie so much.
Yeah.
So the first one is, of course, Crazy Ed, his cars. What's funny about
A
this
club of
one?
baby steal
He
to make a
has
deal.
he has a very threatening energy, you know, but he's like a car salesman and he like wants you to, but then he says, if you don't come down to the lot in the next hour to buy a car from me, I'm gonna club this baby seal. And they pan over and there's a baby seal sitting on the hood of a car with its life in because salespeople are like really forcing you to buy their product, but this guy like genuinely is like buy my car or the seal gets it. That's so funny. Then we have, of course, Spatula City, Spatula
Battle
City.
City.
And then there's the one for, are you tired of sloppy cut rate funerals? And they're walking through a cemetery with like legs sticking out of the plots. As if a sloppy cut rate funeral, they just don't give your loved one a casket and they don't bury them the proper amount of feet into the earth. They just kind of dump them
Toss the
in there.
body.
And then the commercial is for a company called Plots R Us with the R twisted like Toys R Us.
Try our new salad bar.
They have a salad bar in the funeral
Yeah, they
home.
do. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. And the first thing that they like after they kind of go after the other funeral homes for being cut rate sloppy funerals, the first thing that they advertise is that they have a lot of parking at their building.
Lots of free parking.
Who cares? So
Oh my
funny.
gosh.
And then there's two more, Conan the Librarian, which is awesome.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I'm excited for the next one. Go on. I
And
got
the next one is Gandhi.
Gandhi too.
He's back. And this time he's angry. And it's just
Mr.
it's just Gandhi like mowing people down with a semi-automatic
He
rifle.
knows how to party. Dude,
Give me a
when I tell
steak,
you,
medium rare.
I would give anything to watch that movie. I am
Oh, me
not
too.
kidding. I'm not
Ugh,
Gandhi too.
he's back. And this time he's angry. As if the first time he wasn't also angry. This movie is so stupid. It's
It's
the best
really
thing I've
dumb.
ever seen.
It's so funny. I lost it. I lost it. Fully lost it. Also, Fran Drescher is in this movie. Basically
She's
as
in it
herself.
essentially as herself. They're like,
Hmm.
she gets to just be beautiful and fashionable and like
And
friendly.
professional.
Yeah, it's
And
everything that you want in a
ambitious.
Fran Drescher role. She's got it, which is awesome.
Yeah, she's great. I love her.
She's great. She
Um,
plays the kind of secretary. She's mad because it was supposed to be a temporary role and then she could move on to like doing newscasting or something that she's really interested in. She's like, I was
mhm.
meant for the news. But she
Yeah.
just never gets it because the station is so poor. They keep just going
Good
through
street.
managers and so nobody promotes her, right? So George gets there and he's like, okay, cool. And like basically instantly promotes her to start doing the news. And it rocks.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's good at it.
She's
She's
really good
like,
at it. She does
forget
have like a natural
the
talent, you know?
she does, yeah. Forget the ditzy like secretary trope. None of that
Mm-mm.
nonsense here. This is a Weird Al movie, baby. If anyone's gonna be ditzy, it's gonna be me. And he
Yeah,
is. And
that's
he's
true. Yeah,
wonderful.
George is kind of ditzy. But then the women, there's like Terry and Pam. And Pam is the secretary turned newscaster, and she is just
Yeah.
like very professional. She's
Very
good at her job,
competent.
and
It's
she,
okay.
yeah, she gets to be promoted because she like has this work ethic. She stayed with the company for 2 years, even though they wouldn't promote her, you know?
Yeah.
And then Terry is his girlfriend, who is a dental hygienist. She's like also very competent career woman and she stands up for herself, but then they also like are able to reconcile their differences. It's nice. It's like I
It
feel
is
like it's
sweet.
like Napoleon Dynamite in that it was made in a time that was very, very, very misogynistic and racist, and it could have easily gone those directions, but then it just didn't.
Yeah. You like kind of almost brace for it, but then you're like, hold on. This is Weird Al. The most disrespectful thing said in the whole movie was probably the Big Edna thing at the beginning.
Mhm.
But he's got
It seems like
a
she gave herself that name.
yeah, and she's a badass. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
she's
really cool.
cool.
But he's got a
I'd eat there.
neighbor who does martial arts. Oh, I'd eat there so fast. Dude, you know that
Hmm.
Greasy Spoon has the best damn burgers in that town.
Hmm.
Oh
Hmm.
my gosh. Yeah. He's got an Asian neighbor does he's got a martial arts studio, but he never feels like a caricature. And he
Yeah,
later gets
only as
a
much as
show of his
everybody
own.
else does.
Yeah. And then he gets the fish show, Wheel of Fish.
It's Wheel of Fish. And it is what it sounds like. There's a giant wheel and you spin it and whatever thing it lands on, that's the kind of fish that you get to take home. Yay!
I
It's
read
Wheel of Fish.
they used
Yeah,
real
I
fish.
like
They nailed that to the board when they were filming. Why did they do that? Why
because
did
it's
they use real
funny.
fish? They don't look real. They look so fake. They look like the fakest fish I've ever seen, but they were real. And they were like, Weird Al did an interview. He was like, it was a mistake. That room was ripe. We shouldn't have done that.
Obviously.
Like,
And I think it's something that we look back on now and we're like, yeah, obviously, but we have to remember, people in the past were different.
that's true. I point out two things that I absolutely well, I think it's just the one. Well, no, I loved everything about this movie, but the one thing
Mhm.
specifically that I loved was what was his name? It's not pylon. That's a thing on the highway. Piler?
Who?
The station guy with the experiments. What's his name?
Oh, Philo.
Philo, thank you. Yes.
You can remember
Philo.
because he's a TV guy, like a Philo T. Farnsworth.
Philo T. Farnsworth. Yeah. Okay. I had class in a Farnsworth building once. He's one of the two Utah statues at the Capitol building. He's right near the front because it says the inventor of TV. And if you'll notice,
He's
the
not from
Brigham Young
Utah.
one, Philo T. Farnsworth?
He's from Rigby, Idaho.
Maybe he's the Idaho one. No, I'm pretty sure he's Utah. He's the Utah
Well, then
statue for some reason.
tear that damn statue down.
One more thing with that too. Brigham Young is he's the other Utah statue. He's in a very far corner, kind of tucked behind another statue.
Very funny.
And the Reagan statue is has little bits of the actual Berlin Wall on the statue. And so people like to tear down that wall.
Yeah,
It is there. Yeah. And so
funny.
that's the
Yeah.
only yeah, those are the things that I know about my job. It's not
What's
much.
funny about that is that the full phrase is Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. And there's a moment in the movie where they advertise celebrity mud wrestling with this week's celebrity guest, Mikhail
Mikhail
Gorbachev.
Gorbachev. Yeah, that was lovely. That was really good.
That's really funny.
I
This
really
movie is
like
awesome.
this movie is perfect, dare I say. Um, Anyway, the moment with Farnsworth, Philo, damn, where his first introduction is he hands Weird Al Yankovic two things and he's like, I need to make sure my interocitor can handle this amount of voltage. And I was like, interocitor? I beg your pardon? Interocitor is a thing from the movie This Island Earth. Have you seen it? Not many people have. It's a random movie from the 50s that's like, I'd say pretty good on its own, but Mystery Science Theater, the movie, the first theatrical release that Mystery Science Theater ever did back when it was like only shared via pirated VHS tapes. Suddenly they
As
were like,
all the
let's make a
best
movie,
movies are, by the
as all the
way.
best ones are. And the show creators were like encouraging this. They're like, hell yeah, baby, spread the word. That's
Of course. Mhm.
based, based. Yeah. And like that word triggers like a silent alarm in my head. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Yeah, Mystery Science Theater. That makes total sense. I was like, I don't even know if that's the version that they got it on. Maybe Weird Al just like actually watched This Island Earth. But then I was reading the IMDb trivia that they wanted Joel Hodgson to play the role of Philo. Joel Hodgson was the creator of Mystery Science Theater and the writer of that episode. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It's, and
Because
it
of
almost made
course,
me cry.
the thing
And I was
is
like,
that of
yeah,
course, Weird Al would write a role specifically for the guy from Mystery Science Theater to play. Yeah,
yeah, he
that does
would.
make sense.
Yeah, it was really, I don't know, it gave me hope. This
Yeah.
whole movie did. And like the scene at the end where they finally got enough money and then the celebration goes on for like long time.
Yeah.
In another movie, it would have been too long, but in this movie, it was like, no, we're really reveling in it. We're gonna
Yeah.
get the the villains will be showing up again and again and again. Like
Yeah.
time, every single thing that they could have done to really rub their faces in their failure, they did. And
hmm
that's magnificent.
If it had been one of George's fantasies, every single bad guy would have been exploded 50 times. But then because it isn't, it's like one of the real life scenes. They just get like an actual comeuppance that could happen in real life. Their licenses
Yeah.
revoked. People recognize them and they're like, "Oh, you're that person who said that shitty thing about me." And they
Boom.
punch him in the balls. You know? Like that could happen in real life.
Yeah, you're a dick to a homeless man? Oh, homeless
Yeah.
men sealed your downfall.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I love that from the beginning, George and Terry go up to the station to like see what it's all about. First of all, he says, "The door's open. It's a
It's a
friendly
friendly
place."
place.
And Terry's like, "We are going to get murdered." That's just what we say about how sometimes women are better at picking up on cues and men are stupid. Um, but anyway, the same man goes up to them and he's like, "Do you have any change?" And George hands him coins and he counts out $1 and then gives him a dollar bill. So it seems like just a funny, at first you're like, oh, haha, like it's funny because you don't expect him to be asking for change
Like
for $1,
change.
like
Yeah.
change. Yeah. So it's like a funny little joke at the beginning of the movie. But then later, it's because he's a coin collector and he's looking for rare coins. And RJ Fletcher is like, whatever, and hands him a random coin that
Hands
happens
him
to be
one
worth
penny.
thousands of dollars. Yay!
Also kind of reminds me off tangent again. No, off subject again. It is a tangent. Off tangent.
It's
That's
on
fun.
tangent.
I invented something just now, which is most of our conversations.
And we caught it on camera, baby. We're gonna be famous.
Reminds me of that one SNL skit where it's a bank, but they're just talking about like we'll give you the right amount of change. But they just keep reiterating that again and again and
Right,
again. Like, we're
right.
not
And
going to
it's
give
like,
you 2,000 nickels. We will give you the amount of money that you request.
right.
And it's
Which
so
is just like standard
sincere.
practice, but they're very serious about it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I love a movie that just fully revels in itself. This is what I'm talking about with like know what you want to be and be it. Do it. Dolly Parton. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Figure out who you are and do it on purpose.
Yeah, yeah, so true.
That's what this movie did. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be Weird Al so much here. And it's gonna be fantastic. And it was, okay?
Yeah,
It
and it
was.
was.
You think a movie like The Lone Ranger could be anywhere near this successful or fun? They don't know what they are, and it's their fault, and it's because they didn't look to this movie for guidance.
And that's actually herein lies the main problem at the foundation of all of society. Why are we not looking to this movie for guidance? So many things would be better if we did so.
That's true.
There's so much to say.
It was
Oh,
so
when he
fun.
brings it's so fun. Every beat of this movie, you're like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
engaging. It's so funny. Like even having seen it before a couple times and knowing the Spatula City commercial by heart, there are several moments in this movie that I watched it today and I laughed out loud. Like it caught me off guard how funny it is, even though I've seen it and I know that it's funny, and that's why I wanted to recommend it. Like it just really gets you sometimes.
It really does. Like,
The
it's
idea of
just entertaining.
Gandhi too?
Me
That's
too.
funny, okay? Anyway, when they he goes there with Terry and kind of scouts the place out, and then the next day he brings Bob because they're gonna work together. So he and Bob go up, and Bob's like, I don't know, I don't like we have no experience in this field, he's like having reservations. And George is like, come on, it's just like working in a fish market, except you don't have to clean and gut fish all day. And he says it, that's the most deadpan line in the entire movie. Kills me. So funny. Because this character George, he's really silly. He'll be very serious and then very like, dying, my life is falling apart, which we have for dinner. Like he oscillates between these two. But I love when he
Yeah.
delivers that line very seriously, which is funny.
Yeah.
Just like working in a fish market, except you don't have to clean and gut fish all day.
It's just he knows
Yeah.
exactly how to play with your expectations. I would love to see Weird Al make a horror movie one day because I feel like it would be
It would be perfect.
so horrifying.
Yeah,
The scene that
that's a good idea.
yeah,
Can we get him on the phone?
here, mods.
Be like, hey, you remember Jordan Peele? How he's like funny, but then he made horror movies and they're really good. Consider this, Al. Can I call you Al?
We could pitch him my dad's idea for a horror movie that he told us under pain of death. He threatened us.
Oh,
No, we can't. We're not allowed to talk about it. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And we
we
won't say it
could
here,
hook them up. No,
but
mm-mm,
we could send it. We
could do
could
that.
CC Jason on a little email to Weird Al. Get the ball rolling. He has an email for sure, right? People do.
I
Do you ever
so
think about like
genuinely.
Weird Al sometimes has to check his email? That's the world in which we
No,
live.
that makes me so sad.
That's crazy.
I'm so sorry, Weird Al. Just real quick, do you think that like the world would explode if Jason and Weird Al met?
I think it would be like at the end of this movie where they set off fireworks in celebration, but everybody is standing like 4 feet away, where it's like
Yeah.
it's beautiful, it's spectacular, it's a moment, but it's also like, okay, a little dangerous. Like
Yeah.
we could have a fence, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be like that.
That would be
Um,
beautiful. It would be really good to see. Can I tell you my favorite, the thing that made me laugh the hardest in this whole movie, aside obviously from Gandhi too,
yeah.
was when he's at his aunt's house and he's scooping punch into the dog's mouth. And then he's like, George, get over here. And he just dumps the dog into the
He
bowl.
drops, he puts the punch ladle on the floor and the dog in the punch bowl and walks away. Yeah,
Poor dog.
yeah.
I know he's working. He's doing such a good job. But he looks like, huh? I've never seen such a clear expression of emotion on a dog's face, except for the one dog from the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, this dog is an actor. Yeah.
yeah, that one sent me.
Really funny. I like that some comedies are like they have some pretty solid jokes or some solid physical comedy or some solid writing, but it doesn't like it's not cohesive. But this, I feel like every single moment of this movie is like on purpose crafted to be as funny as possible, right? And it
Yeah,
subverts your expectations and the things that people say or do, but it's consistently funny
yeah,
instead of just being like a joke and then we have to get from that joke to this joke, so maybe let's go here, right? It's like everything, it's a very smooth movements the whole time. Like
yeah.
this is a reference that everybody will understand. Sometimes when people are dancing, they have a certain move that they've been working really hard at, or they have like a pose that they're trying to hit. So their poses or that certain footwork is like super clean, but then it feels
Oh,
like the rest of the dance is just a transition from pose to pose rather than fluidly dancing the whole time and you just happen to hit a pose. You know?
that does make sense. Yeah.
This movie is it has fluidity. It's not just getting from beat to beat. The whole movement makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have any weird empty spaces.
Yeah. And
And
I
I
don't feel
think,
like there are any scenes that are like sometimes you watch a movie and there's a line that's funny, but you kind of know that they wrote the whole scene just so that they could incorporate that line.
yeah.
I don't feel like there are any in this movie. I mean, maybe the like spoof commercials, but even those kind of make sense because they fit into like we're revamping a TV station.
Right. Yeah.
So it still kind of fits the vibe. There's never anything that you're like, okay, stupid. Like they obviously just set up this character wouldn't say that, but they only had to in order to get the other character to say the funny thing.
Yeah. This movie is
Yeah.
like if Airplane shuffled together a couple SNL sketches and then someone twisted the whole thing with a smidgen of Weird Al DNA.
Right. They're like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
let's make a narrative out of this. Yeah.
Yeah, an on purpose one.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
really fun.
It's really
And
funny.
then there was a moment, I'm sure this comparison has been made before, but especially the moment at the end, I was just blown away by how much Weird Al looked like Brian David Gilbert today. I
Hmm.
thought for a split moment, I was like, how did they do that? Because that was just Brian David Gilbert. They haven't invented time travel yet. Oh my gosh, wait, I forgot to mention Philo is an alien.
They haven't invented time travel yet, Whitney. It doesn't matter when they invent it. Once it exists, it's always existed. Yeah, Philo is an alien and it like basically doesn't matter.
No. And
He doesn't
Weird Al
reveal it
has,
until the end and then he like turns into an alien to go back to his home planet. Like not
mhm.
off screen, but off
But in the
screen in terms of
background,
like the other character's perception. Nobody sees him.
no.
He says to George and Terry, like to their faces, my work on this planet is done. It's time for me to go home. And they're like, okay, weird. I can just go through my notes chronologically.
Yes, please.
And then
It would
because
be like watching a movie again.
oh, in the
Oh, while you do
very
that,
beginning, I like how the like Indiana Jones like signs
my
that are like
gosh.
beware, turn back are just literal stop signs. And no trespassing, like no visitors, no exceptions. There's like police line, do not cross. It's funny.
Funny
Like
joke.
it's not like signs that are written in an ancient language that he doesn't understand. It's like very clear that he's not supposed to be there, but he's like, "Oh, whatever." It's funny. I like that this movie respectfully makes fun of a lot of other movies because it's made by Weird Al, the parody king.
Yeah, who makes
Yes.
perfect songs that make the
This
original
one,
creators want to kill themselves.
which is the goal of all parody content. Uh, this one I wrote down a timestamp. It was so good. 20 minutes and 13 seconds in. This is like the scene in which Stanley is getting fired at Channel 8.
Uh-huh.
And he's about to like leave, go out the door, but then he gets like turned around. He like hits the door and like turns around and the door closes behind him. He turns back into the same room that he was in. Gets confused about how he's in there. He's like, people, oh, wait. They just open the door again. It's so funny. Yeah. And then they go through, they fire him, but they like tear the clothes off his back first. Mean. It's just
Why did they do that?
like
He
the
doesn't have
cruelty of this
much.
company. They're like really rubbing it in your face. Like, yeah, this guy sucks. This guy is super mean.
they, they
So
took his mop.
he's like, they're rolling him around on the floor, wrestling the jacket off of him. It's just his.
No. This is something that I enough not enough movies do this is just be brave enough to make your evil villain the most evil, awful person that has ever existed
So
ever.
evil. And it goes back to like it feeling like a cartoon or like an anime, where everybody is a caricature of themselves. Like, he's a
Yeah.
big bad corporate villain, so of course he's gonna like really lean into it. Like his
Yeah.
face is never resting. He's always sneering. Like it's like incredible. Whoever did the
It's
casting, I'll have to go
fantastic.
back through the credits and see who did the casting, but they deserve $8 billion.
A day.
Like it's so
And
good. Every
I
single
feel
person
like
is like perfect.
the best evil villain actors are the most ridiculous. Like I read in the trivia that every time he would deliver a line, he'd just start giggling because he's like, "That's so mean."
Yeah.
Like Rachel McAdams when she did Regina George, they were like, "She's too sweet to play this role," and then they were like, "Oh no, she's going to kill me in real life." And then she'd like
Yeah. Yeah.
drop the persona, and she'd be like, "How was that?" Like, so because
Yeah.
she's like a genuinely nice person. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like that's always how it works. Is you have to,
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like people who
yeah,
do method for villains are just looking for an excuse to be assholes. But
yes,
then, and people who are like, oh, yay, this will be a fun little, they're like having fun trying to imagine a world in which they're evil. They're
yeah, like
better
Bryan Cranston.
because that's acting.
Yes,
You're playing pretend for the
playing
duration
pretend. Yeah.
of the film.
I love Bryan
As
Cranston. Can I just say one thing about Bryan Cranston real quick?
yes,
Is
please.
we don't talk about him nearly enough.
He's
Hi, Brian.
phenomenal. Hi, Ryan.
Um, actor of all time,
Hmm.
send tweet. But also I watched an interview with him, like the he talks about his most famous roles thing.
Hmm.
Um, and when he was talking about Hal from Malcolm in the Middle, he's like, the original script was that they wanted me to play him as like this like distant emotionally closed off dad who like didn't really care about
Uh-huh.
his family or his kids, and I didn't really like that. I chose instead to play him more as distracted. Like he loves his wife, he loves his kids, he wants so badly to be involved, but he has undiagnosed ADHD. That's not what he said, but
Uh-huh.
like essentially he's like, I just
Yeah,
wanted him to have
that's the
so many
vibe.
things going on that he had a really hard time keeping track of all of them in his head. But
Yeah.
and I was like, "You're the only one who gets it, Brian."
Because it's like the trope of like a dad who isn't present in his kids' lives is like so overdone. It's like
It's so
annoying.
annoying. Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
annoying. So it's nice
This
for
was
him to like look at that and be like, I have a better
no
idea.
thanks.
And it
Yeah, and it
is a
was
better
better.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why the show got so popular in the first place, and also why it remains popular is because people look at that
Hmm.
and they're like, "That's actually like the healthiest family." Like they wrote the show to be like this crazy family, and in universe they're treated as that crazy family, but they have the healthiest relationships. Like
Yeah.
Lois and Hal, capital L, love each other.
Hmm.
There's an
Hmm.
episode where Lois is like tries on a new makeup for the first time and Hal goes crazy looking at her. He's like, I've never been more in love or attracted to another person in my life. My
Hmm.
life. And she's like thinks it's because of the makeup, but then she like looks super gross near the end of the episode and he does the same thing and she's like, oh, it has nothing to do with that. It's him. Because he just
Hmm.
likes me. And it's like insane. It's the best. I love them so much. And um on the flip side of that, he plays Walter White. Worst husband, worst
Yeah.
father, worst man award ever. Who can do it
Hmm.
like Bryan
Hmm.
Cranston?
That
That's
is
all I'm saying.
acting. He
That's
has the range.
acting. He does. Yes. Sorry to go
Yeah.
on.
No, I mean, it had to be said. And not enough people are talking about that, frankly.
Sometimes I don't know that I feel emotions about things until I'm on this recording
Until
with
we're on
you.
the air.
And then I'm like, I'm going to weep about this. And then I never think
I
about it
have a
again.
heart attack. Yeah.
Yeah. Like apparently that one time that I went on a big rant about the road to El Dorado that I don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like a huge,
Like an
huge
hour.
portion of that recording. At least 45 minutes. We were supposed to be talking about Jurassic Park. This is going to be an episode that we get a lot of comments like, you could lose the banter. Okay, sorry, my next note is when they're doing the kids' clubhouse, but it's still George as Uncle Nutsy before he's quit because he's suicidal. Anyway, yeah, he's being all silly goofy, and the kids are like bored. They spit in his face. Anyway, he introduces Bobo the clown, who isn't Bobo, he's Bobo. He hits him in the face with a frying pan, and Bobo picks back up. And the look of absolute derision and disdain on this man's face kills me every time. Like I rewind it every single time. He's like, Bobo, what's wrong? And Bobo, but he's on camera in front of children, so there's like not much that he can do, but he's like, are you shitting me?
You a fun fact about that scene that I learned just now in my research. It wasn't actually hit him in the face.
It's like it feels real because it's a little
Lit-
bit real.
It is. It split his lip, and you can't see the blood because it blends in with the cloth. Like they saw it afterward, and they're like, "That's a really good take. We don't need to do that again." I think I was like, "Good."
Um, then there's Pam interviewing somebody for their little because they have little segments. This is right before this is when we learned that Terry is a dental hygienist. It was during this scene. Anyway, Pam is interviewing someone from the NRA. And I know his whole speech by heart, of course, but I still wrote it down so that I would remember to talk about it. And though not that there's a lot to say, it's just that he says she asks him a question about gun control. And he says gun control is for wimps and commies. Let me get one thing straight. Guns don't kill people. I do.
Oh my gosh.
Ugh.
I really liked the part where they're talking
It
about
was the
George's
best movie
new
of all time.
controversial talk show. Sex with furniture. Thoughts?
Thoughts? I wrote
The
that
only
down
thing
too,
that I could
except
think.
I just wrote JD Vance moment.
I was like, how old was JD Vance when this movie came out? I know why.
Sex with furniture. Thoughts? And then he just throws the mic like, who's that one Bill Hader character on SNL? You know, the old like news reporter who
Herb
just
Wilkins.
yeah, Herb. And he just throws the mic into people's faces and or genitals. He does that moment. Sex with furniture. Thoughts? Just at somebody in the
I need
audience.
to say, Herb Wilkins is like normally I get kind of sick of those repeat characters over and over again. Most of the time I'm like, find a new, like get a new gag. Herb Wilkins, I have seen every one of those sketches and I never get tired of them.
It's at the end, like lesbian Nazis abducted by aliens. It's like every controversial thing you could possibly say in one sentence. And he's like,
Ku
tonight.
Klux Klan guy.
It's like getting into a fist fight with like a nun, and they have like a panel discussion of the worst people in the world. It's so funny. Yeah.
I will say, usually when a movie has like a Ku Klux Klan member in it, you're like, oh, that can't be good. But this movie and Blazing Saddles, like, it's just as funny as you can make it, you know?
It's just really funny.
When
Kitty,
will we
kitty.
talk about Blazing Saddles? Day one of me asking. Yeah, this is the greatest movie of all time. I
Yeah.
had so much fun. Like, I don't know what else to say. It's like hot rod levels of ridiculous physical comedy.
Yeah. I like the moment where, okay, in the scene, where he catches a bullet in his teeth, chews it up, and then spits it like watermelon seeds into another person and explodes him with multiple
Oh
bullets.
my
That's
gosh.
funny. But I also like
Yeah.
every time they cut like away from him and then cut back, he has a different level of 5 o'clock shadow. A little subtle thing that is incredibly funny.
Yeah, it really is.
Um, let's keep going down this list here.
Yay.
Uh, even just looking at it, you like remember the moments. It's funny. In the scene when he gives up, he gets suicidal. He starts drinking. He's like, I need a drink. And Bob says, You don't drink. And he says, I've been meaning to
We need
start.
to
That's
start.
funny. Anyway, then he gets to the bar and they're watching his channel and they're seeing what Stanley's up to. And he gets that, Stanley gives the very inspirational speech of like, sometimes
Mhm.
life is like a dirty old mop and you just have to clean it out and you just keep going, right? And it's like motivational. Anyway, in the background, they're playing the Tabernacle Choir version of Battle Hymn of the Republic.
I checked my phone too late after you sent that text and I didn't know what I connected to.
That's what it is.
Yes!
Yeah. That's a Mac.
Representation, baby!
I'm pretty sure that's a Mac Wilberg, who is a household name in one household. There's a moment when they're planning the fall schedule, and they have the little strips of like the name of a show, and then they can move it into the available time slots.
Yeah.
Most of them are half-hour segments. The Wonderful World of Phlegm is 2 full hours long. That's just a little detail. That's so funny. And you think maybe Weird Al should be president of the world.
That's true. Can we do that, please? Mr. Weird Al, I'm begging you.
Please, if you can hear this,
When the world needed it
please.
most.
Oh, this one we already touched on, celebrity mud wrestling with Mikhail Gorbachev. Oh, the next one is in RJ Fletcher's office, and they're discussing like, oh, how could we let these dumb, crusty underdogs rise in the ratings? We have to kill them. We have to burn down the town, whatever, their evil plan. He has a picture of his father on the wall, and he's like, what would RJ Fletcher Sr. say about this? And his son is like, help, let me in here. Like as if he's alive, but he's still stuck in the coffin. It's just such a little moment. It's the only time that that character gets to say a joke. Instead of being funny by like being a joke, he gets to say a joke. It's so funny. What would your grandfather say if he was alive? Help, let me out of here. I'm trapped in a box. I can't see.
This
And then
movie's
JD Vance
perfect.
moment. We got that. This movie's
Jamie
perfect.
Vance.
Thoughts? Like, as if the average person is gonna just like have thoughts ready to go. It's so funny. JD Vance is an outlier. He shouldn't have been counted. Then I have there's when George hears the news that he has to raise $75,000 in 2 days. And he's contemplating his life on the sidewalk, and he's like, how are we gonna raise this money? Stanley comes out to him and he's like, Hey, George, you doing okay? He says, man, you don't want to know. And Stanley says, why'd I ask? It's so funny. We're healing the world with comedy. During the telethon, they have an upside down yodeling man, and
Yeah,
he's
they do.
very impressive. And that's my final note.
I don't even know what to say. This movie was just so much fun.
It's
I
just
belly
super
laughed at
fun.
so many parts.
I like that it's like a commentary parody about like the ridiculousness of modern TV, but then it also has like a very heartfelt story of like a town banding together to create something beautiful. And but then it also Conan the Librarian is in this movie and Gandhi too.
This has been, I feel like we do this every week. on the same day. But it feels like for the past 3 weeks, I've gone a month without talking to you between each session.
Yeah. It's weird
Yeah.
how it never feels like it's only been a week. It always feels like it's been a week, not like longer than that.
Yeah.
It always feels longer than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, actually,
Something.
mm. Oh,
Oh,
go ahead.
I just had another non-story, which is that my phone was acting up for a little bit. You know, when it's like not out of storage yet, but it insists that it is, and so then it won't like
Yeah.
do anything right, and you're like, but it's literally
Yeah.
fine. Like I go through this sto like the things and I empty out the things that I don't need so that the storage doesn't get too full so that this won't happen. But
Yes.
unfortunately, it still happens, and it's like, sorry,
It's empty.
can't.
It's like a kid in 3 feet of water insisting that it's drowning. And it's like, no, you're not. Just stand up. Just
It's like
stand up.
I can see that your face is out of the water and you can breathe,
Hmm.
so it's like fine.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
hmm
But
Um, yeah. So one of the things that it did that day was just eat text messages. So I could see like when you open your messages but you haven't clicked on the conversation yet, so it'll show you like a little preview of what the person said.
uh-huh.
I could see that, but then if I opened it, it would be like, no, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
So I was like, ah! So annoying. It would usually be other people's messages, sometimes my messages, and one time, both. I sent a message to Mason asking if he wanted to come to the Halloween party, and he replied, and I was pretty sure the reply said that he was going to come. But then when I went to open the conversation, it deleted it. And it was as if I had never texted him at all.
It's
So I
trying to
searched
gaslight
Mason and it
you.
brought up a different Mason that it was my old coworker like 4 years ago. It was like, this Mason? And I was like, no, the one that I was just talking to. And it was like, I've never heard of him. So I had to start a new conversation with him and just assume that he had said yes because I was pretty sure that's what the message said, but I couldn't double check because it disappeared. So I was just like, see you there. Have I told you that in my calendar settings, there's like, you can like color code different events. One of
Hmm.
the standard ones that's just in your phone is work. So then I have a custom one that's just a slightly different shade of purple called work in quotes. And that's what I use for this.
Nice.
Yeah.
And one day when we start getting paid for this, that'll,
Yeah, then it will make more sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we got an ad at the start of our video the other day, but then I realized that it was a different video that had started auto playing.
Uh,
It was like the beginning of a Curtis Connor video or something. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense.
we should do another Indian movie.
Yeah. We should have Jack back and we can have his thoughts on Iga.
Mhm. Iga 2. Gandhi 2. It's the best movie ever.
It's so funny. It's so funny. I also, not to just one more thought, tie it back to UHF. I like when movie antagonists they have their flaws, but ultimately they succeed by being just nice, friendly guy.
hmm
Yeah, he's a little ditzy. Yeah, he's forgetful. Yeah, his girlfriend should have dumped him. She was right
Yeah.
to do
Well, she
that.
did actually. Yeah.
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 Um,
But
and
then
I'm
they
glad they
get
got back
back
together at the
together
end.
because he changes and she
Exactly.
sees
Exactly.
he
Because
really
he
has
learned
potential. He really is striving for something. He's working hard
exactly.
and he has
Hmm.
made something out of
Yes.
nothing. hmm
Yeah. He's learned to be responsible. He's learned to meet deadlines, to be on time, to help a friend. That like he hired Kramer.
Stanley.
Stanley, why can't I not remember his name? He's Kramer to me. He hired Stanley before he knew that he would be a wild success to his channel. He gave that guy just a handful of change, not expecting anything in return, getting something in return. And then later, he made the final sale. He bought $2,000 worth of shares in the company.
Yeah.
Like,
They're $10 shares. So you do the math.
I won't. Thank you, though. Like he just succeeds by being he if the evil villain guy had met George with that same energy, he's like, "Howdy, neighbor. Like this is gonna be so fun. We're working together. Like we're in the same field." If he had met George with that same energy, then the movie wouldn't have needed to happen because he would have been like,
Mhm.
"Oh, friendly guy. All right. Like howdy, neighbor." That's just the
Mhm.
energy he exudes. And that's I like that a lot. I think that's really good. Good energy, good vibes, good lesson. Be friendly,
Yeah.
be helpful, be kind. Goodbye.
I also like, I know you mentioned this, but his neighbor is like a martial arts instructor. I like that
Hmm.
it seems as though he and Bob live in the back room of the dojo. Like they have to go through, you know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
just awesome. For a main character who like I just can't really keep a steady job. He's kind of ditzy. He lives in the back of a dojo. That's really good. And I like when he's like, "Wait, what time is it?" And the guy flies through the wall. And he's like,
7:30. I gotta
7:30.
go.
Yeah.
Funny.
This movie's funny.
This movie, it's lowercase funny and also capital F funny.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna tell you what that means. Figure it out on your own. Watch the movie, then comment and tell us how you liked it.
Yay.